everyone, Saeed here. We're going to talk about how to prepare for an IRCC update as a startup visa client. So, I'm the founder of a company called NextStars. We are in the space of supporting immigration professionals and entrepreneurs through their startup visa journey. I'm myself an entrepreneur, and also I advise at a few designated organizations. So, a little bit of housekeeping before we start. This is not really meant to be a cheat sheet. It's You have to have a legit business, as I explained in my previous video. And today we're just going to focus on the product, whether it's a software product or a physical product that you're developing for your startup. So the purpose is to help startup visa founders and their legal advisors to prepare a strong, organized evidence of product development, progress for IRCC updates. And this is really about communicating clear traction in a format that is understandable by IRCC. So let's start by thinking about what IRCC is expecting. So bottom line, IRCC expects you to have a genuine effort and execution for your startup. An idea on a piece of paper is no longer accepted. And also you need to show that the product is being built and refined over time. So that's another very, very important piece. And you need to define clear roles for each founder and whoever that takes lead of the product or is responsible for the product. Their resume, how does it basically cover the complications of product development for that particular startup? Anecdotally, again, with the big caveat that we are not immigration professionals, but we can see some clients receiving updates roughly around a year to 2 years after they submit for PR. So you need to be really proactive when such updates are received. Typically, it does not provide a very long time for you to prepare the documentation. So it's always a good idea to be ready ahead of time. And that you can basically, once you're asked the question, you can put together a report and send it back in a very timely fashion. So, as I explained in my previous video, the way you communicate progress to the officers through PDF files. So the way you answer the officers also through PDF files, regardless. So you need to create evidence that is communicated through PDF files. The first document that I recommend every startup visa team to generate and to have on file is high-level milestones, timelines, kind of a product roadmap. What features are they putting in the MVP, and what's going to be developed after that, how they're going to go around getting market feedback and incorporating that into the product features, and so on and so forth. So that's kind of your first document that needs to be prepared. And again, like everything that you do, try to do it in a time-stamp manner. Try to communicate it through email or whatnot. And so you want to show, not a dot. You want to show a dot, 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 kind of a trend, to the officer. The second document is the MVP feature list. So if you have already a product in a different market that you're just trying to launch in Canada, then that's probably like an easier job for you. But to show traction and progress, because likely it's an ongoing business, ongoing project, and because of that, like, you're already doing a lot of stuff, and most of them are going to be also relevant to your product launch in Canada. But if this is an idea that you have designed and developed solely for the purpose of launching in Canada, then that's a very good place to start with basically a short document explaining what, in your view, uh, defines the minimum viable product for the business, and why. Why are you choosing these features, and how are you basically going about sort of uh, segmenting the your vision into pieces. The third piece of document and traction is wireframes and UI UX mockups. So obviously, for uh, something like your something like Figma, or there's Balsamic, Canva, many different tools that founders and technical teams use, but you can use the same uh, format to create some mock-ups of how the product would look like. And this is obviously mostly for software or applications, and you can also create like a BPMNs that basically shows the logic, how the database works. So these are some fundamentals that shows kind of high level, demonstrates how the product would look like. And the next step, once you have those, like, static pages, is to create a working prototype. You can basically use tools like Figma. You can even make it clickable, and you can record that, post it on your social media, and you can basically take a screenshots of that and create a flow for your MVP. That's also a very powerful tool that shows, you can show to any investor or someone that you want to partner up with, or the designated entity, how does the product look like and how it basically is going to work. Another very important piece of work, which kind of ties in with the team and the team's resume as well, is the sprint logs. So as you must know by now, technical teams, they run sprints depending on how they define and design product development. Some do basically uh, uh, waterfall, some do agile, but nonetheless, there are and they use some sort of a software like a Trello, Jira, to coordinate uh, basically these features, like how they go about testing them, developing them, and all that. So you want to create some snapshots of those communications, and also show actively that you are involved in the product development cycle. Um, Very important to show that you are involved, you're actively involved in the development of the product. And if you have a technical team that's developing the application for you, uh, it's very good idea to have frequent uh, meetings with them, and also take screenshots of those meetings. It's completely fine to have a technical team develop your software, so long they take directions from you as an active manager of the startup. So I have two specific pieces of document that mostly relates to hardware startups or deep tech startups, clean tech, things like that. One is IP. Well, you could have an IP document, IP management document for a software business as well, but generally speaking, it's very hard to patent a software. But for hardwares, you can very much do so, and you need to do a patent search before you even start your startup, because you don't want to be in a situation that you spend time on developing a startup for 3 years and only to find out that you're infringing someone's patent, and it's impossible for you to build what you want to build. But nonetheless, it's very important, and it's a very important piece of traction. I think trademarking your branding is also a good idea, but generally doesn't fall under the product, but it's generally speaking a good idea. But on the hardware side, make sure you have blueprints, you have a bill of material, you have, if you're using IoT sensors, you have sensor specs, and you can create, a list of suppliers, potential suppliers, and then their emails, and you can reach out to them, get some prices. So often I see startups have suppliers in China or other countries. It's totally fine so long you're familiar with, you know the requirements, the regulatory requirements for your startup. And obviously, once the product is developed, the basic features, you kind of want to do some user feedback. um, so you want to show it to potential first customers or partners. This is in between product and business development, but yes, in the early discovery sessions, often the product team is also available to demonstrate, how the product looks like, how the product would work, and get some feedback. The goal of that session is not to really sell. The goal of that session is to collect feedback to inform next phase of development, to inform next steps in terms of product development. Um, Obviously, like any other startup, your public facing assets needs to be up to date and nicely done, like your website. You need to have, a way for customers to give you feedback or write to you or sign up for a newsletter, sign up for a wait list, or so on and so forth. If you have a consumer product, you can like do some a little bit of, like, put it on product hunt and these different websites, that you can even get some early sales or pre-orders. That's also a very, very good idea, and also a very good piece of traction for healthcare startups. For right, pretty much it relates to every startup, but mostly for health, for defense tech, for insure tech startups. You kind of want to also do a little bit of privacy and risk assessment. You need to show that you comply with the regulations from a product development standpoint. If you're a medtech startup, it's a very good idea to look into the regulations, what class of medical device you fall under. It's a very challenging and it's very technical to actually go through the process, and typically it's a very costly process. But I think from an officer's perspective, just showing that you understand the type of regulation that you're facing it shows, your intention of creating an impactful startup. um, I think um, if when it relates to product also, if you're currently possessing the role of CTO, meaning you're a technical founder yourself, are very hands-on with the code, you know um, then you need to show and highlight your management skills a little bit more. And if you're a non-technical founder, you're like a product lead, then you need to focus more on communications with a technical team, and also demonstrate that you're capable of directing a team of developers on basically going through the life cycle of your product the way you want them to go through. So just to sum it up, so we need time stamped ongoing actions. Remember, progress is your strongest currency in this business. You want your progress report when the officer is asking you to shout out and to clearly state that you're a high potential team, the startup is real, the product is real, and that the startup has a future in Canada. So this is very important, and you have to really keep that in mind. Nowhere in the startup visa manual it says that you have to have startup that raises $10 million. However, you have to have the intention of creating an impactful and successful startup in Canada, and that's the only way you're gonna have a successful decision, a successful outcome for a startup visa. You need to have clear, dated progress. You need to have folders, and this needs to be done over time. You can't just like create progress of 2 years in a matter of 7 days. So you need to always be proactive and ahead of time. You need to label all the documents and try to communicate that with your designated entity frequently, maybe like once a quarter or whatnot. And you need to also talk to your legal representative to make sure that what you're stating in that progress report kind of they're also on board with that. That's very important. And you need to stay honest. You need to show some of the challenges that you faced as well in terms of your product development, and how you are planning or you have already overcame some of those challenges. So long story short, always be prepared, always be ready. And if you have any questions, we want to hear from you, and we want to engage with you. If you want to throw an idea or have a conversation, definitely do reach out. You can send us an email at info@nextstars.io. That's nextstars.io. And you can find us on LinkedIn, Instagram, or just fill out our form on the website. Thank you, and I wish everyone a smooth journey for their startup visa, and hopefully faster processing.